In this episode we are leaving the big smoke of Adelaide and heading north to the underground town of Coober Pedy, where it's so hot even the houses hide from the sun. On the way we stop at Kimba, famous for being halfway across Australia and home to the impressive giant Galah. Then it's off to Kingoonya, a once thriving railway town that now feels a bit like the set of a post-apocalyptic movie, but with colder beer. It's long drives, dusty tracks, tiny towns and some super trouble probably. Let's hit the road! We are Joseph, Martine and our dog Bouddi. We have left the grind behind to embrace the freedom of life on the road, trading office chairs for camp chairs and deadlines for dirt roads. Guided by Opal to travel in a purposeful manner towards a vague destination, we are here to share our journey, stories and tips for living adventurously. Hop in and join as we roam, explore and embrace the unexpected. The troop is packed, fueled up and ready to roll. The Outback is calling.
Good day. So what we up to?
We left Adelaide yesterday and we camped last night at Bouddi, which is a very small little town. They had a free campground, donation campground.
Yeah, just 200 kilometers away from Adelaide. And
Yeah, it was very good. We met some nice people from New South Wales who did the lab as well, but then the opposite way. So we got some nice tips for the next weeks and months. And today we are heading to Chinaman's Beach because it's going to be a scorch of a day, 38 or so, I don't know.
I think it will gonna be reach 39, which
Could
is
be, so very
really
hot.
warm. Yeah.
So we definitely need some water to cool down. Next up, Kimba. And how is this for a welcome? Giant silos, epic artwork. Who knew grain storage could be this good looking? The mural shows a young girl gazing out over the wheat fields, painted by Cam Scale, using over 200 liters of paint and a whole lot of talent. We pulled in for the night at the Kimba Pioneer Memorial Camp, and honestly, this might be one of the best donation camps we have seen in Australia. Clean, spacious, powered sites, hot showers. We were only meant to stay for one night, but yeah, we ended up hanging around for a few more. Thanks Kimba, you nailed it. Our dinner is finished, now it's Bouddi's turn. We made it to the halfway mark, halfway across Australia and feeling pretty good. Only halfway there, let's see what the rest of this adventure has in store. Next up, the big Galah. Standing tall and proud, this feathered giant is basically Kimba's unofficial mascot. Here we are at the White Knobs Lookout, Amazing views and some seriously cool art sculptures, including this one of Edward John Eyre, the explorer who first crossed this part of Australia. Made from old farming tools and scrap metals, these sculptures really bring the history and ruggedness of the Outback to life, only in Kimba. Next up, White Knob's Caves. Not your usual tourist spot, but full of cool rock formations and history, perfect for a quick explore and some shade. Time to let the tires down and get ready for some proper dirt road action on the way to Kingoonya. Troopies is about to earn its stripes. Quick pit stop by the side of the road, nothing fancy, just a classic cheese sandwich keeping us going. Sometimes simple is the best. Rolling into Kingoonya, a tiny town with a big history. We stayed the night at a free camp right in the town, perfect spot to recharge before the next leg. Just in time for the show, a massive train rumbling through Kingoonya, hauling freight between Adelaide and up north all the way to the NT. Classic Outback soundtrack. Bouddi is loving the Outback playground, chasing balls on red dirt instead of green grass like back home in Sydney, a whole new level of messy fun.
"232 clicks to Coober Pedy and almost the same to the next pub. Out here, the pubs are always worth the drive."
Time to air up again. The new Toyos handle the track like champs. Smooth ride back to the bitumen. You can tell we are getting close to Coober Pedy. Piles of sand everywhere from all the mining going on. The landscape starting to look like a giant sandbox. Here we are, Coober Pedy. Can't do an Outback trip without a classic troopy in front of the sign shot. Time to explore this quirky underground town. Welcome to Opal City, aka Coober Pedy. Did you know this town produces about 70% of the world's opals? No wonder everybody's hunting for treasure here. We are here in Coober Pedy on the Big Winch lookout. Beautiful spot overlooking Coober Pedy. Most of the houses here are underground because it can be really hot, especially in summer. So living underground is much cooler. I just read a funny story about an opal miner that was trying to find opal for 30 years and didn't find a thing. And then he wanted to make an extension to his house and add a room next to his bedroom. And then he found for $3 million worth of opal. And he was all the time just sleeping 1 meter away from it. So it's really an interesting story. But yeah, there's no really science to finding opal. You just have to be lucky in that sense. Beautiful spot here. So this piece of equipment is called a blower. It's actually a huge vacuum cleaner. So you should imagine like deep under the ground, they are taking away the soil and the rocks with the opal in it. It will be sucked up in this machine, that's the motor, and it will here and it blow air to blow all the dust and all the sand out. And then the final part, the waste, is going to be there on the top, and that will fall out. So most likely the opal is in there. And that's how they take out all the soil and rocks to mine for the opal. There's quite a lot of them here around, and this one here is on display, so it's quite interesting to see. We set up camp at the Old Timers Mine for 2 nights. A great free spot right in Coober Pedy, perfect base to explore all the quirks and the opal mining town. Joseph is always on coffee duty first thing in the morning, and honestly, how good is that? Starting the day right, 1 cup at a time. Checking out the Old Miners Museum, hard hat on, feeling like legit pros. It's like stepping back in time, with a side of please don't hit your head. We are here in the Old Timers Mine, very nicely laid out. It's a museum at the moment, but it was starting as an opal mine in 1916, and it was buried later on, and only in 1968 it was discovered when people started to make a house here. So now it's a museum. You can see the actual area where they mined. There's a museum as well, and the house is there as well to a display. Quite interesting. Definitely can recommend it. It's pretty cool to see. You can see the peepholes there where the drives have broken into each other. Check this out. You can still see the opal vein right in the ceiling on the cave. A cool reminder that Coober Pedy treasures run deep underground. Built into the hillside, these dugouts stayed cool in the scorching heat, and this is exactly how miners and their families lived. Next up, the Jewish synagogue. It's beautiful and totally unique, carved right into the underground, a real hidden gem in this quirky town. Now we are at Kanku Conservation Park, home to some incredible landscapes, ancient rock formations and heaps of history. Time to get out and explore. So we're standing here next to the dock fence, which is one of the longest structures in the world. It's 5,600 kilometers and it's put in place in the 1880s by farmers at the time to prevent the wild dogs, the dingoes, or the papas as they call it here in the local language, to eat the sheep. But obviously this is quite disruptive to nature because it also protects other animals from freely walking the land, like emus and kangaroos. There are grasses that should be blown freely on the earth. They are caught here in the fences. So we just spoke to the Aboriginal ranger here, and the other day there were like 20 emus collected here, and they had to open the fence to get them on this side. So the locals are not very happy with the fence, but still in place till today. So 5,600 kilometers of this dog fence structure. So we're talking about this cutie, the papa. It's a cultural significant animal that's now prevented from walk on this land. And look at this cutie. Luckily all the dingoes are on the other side of the fence, so you can sleep in the sun here. So this area is called the Papa Kujera. It's the two dogs. You see them there, left and right. The Europeans, settlers, they also called it salt and pepper because of the color difference, or castle because it looks a bit like a castle from afar. This is a culturally significant land for the Aboriginals, and behind here, you can't see it very well, is the emu, and then behind there are the lookouts where we will go soon. And that peaked hill is the Wati, or man, which is the owner of the two dogs.
Today is a special day because it's Martine's birthday,
Yay!
40 plus something, so
Something like that.
still really young. So we're enjoying the scenery here to watch the sunset, and we're having a cheese and wine, actually a champagne, to celebrate the occasion. So
We are 25 k's roughly north of
Coober
Coober
Pedy,
Pedy.
yeah.
So we're literally in the middle of nowhere and almost in the middle of Australia. So quite a nice space to celebrate your birthday.
That's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's
the honor?
open this bottle, yes.
Yeah. Of course, I need to take a picture. Happy birthday!
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. In Coober Pedy, the real treasures are hidden underground, and not just the opals. And that's it for this episode. We had a blast and really enjoyed our time in Coober Pedy. Next up, we hit the Unadada track, and it's going to get rough, remote and seriously red.